first story is about an old monk. There was an old monk in Chongqing who had a pure and noble cultivation. Despite being over 80 years old, his body remained strong and healthy. One day, he suddenly fell and couldn't get up. By the time the monks in the temple rushed to help, he had already passed away. Unaware of his own death, the soul of the old monk floated away from his body and drifted into the territory of Hunan. In Hunan, there was a young nobleman from a prestigious family who was leading a group of more than 10 men on horseback, engaged in falconry and hunting rabbits. Suddenly, the horse was startled and ran wildly, causing the young nobleman to fall off and die. Coincidentally, the soul of the old monk was drifting in this area and suddenly merged with the body of the deceased nobleman. Gradually, he regained consciousness. The servants gathered around and inquired about his well-being. When he opened his eyes, he exclaimed, "How did I end up here?" They supported him and brought him back home. As soon as he entered the house, many heavily adorned women came forward to visit and greet him. Astonished, he said, "But I am a monk, how did I end up here?" His family thought he was talking nonsense and earnestly tried to persuade him to come to his senses. He no longer bothered to explain himself and remained silent with his eyes closed. When the family brought food, he only ate plain rice, avoiding any alcohol or meat. During the night, he slept alone, refusing to let his wives and concubines attend to him. A few days later, he suddenly felt like going out for a walk. Everyone was delighted. Once outside, after a brief moment of tranquility, many stewards and servants approached him, seeking his approval on matters of money management, accounts, and treasury affairs. He excused himself, claiming long-term illness and fatigue, and avoided taking responsibility. He only asked, "Do you know about Chongqing County in Shandong?" They all replied, "Yes." He said, "I feel depressed and bored, and I want to visit there. Quickly prepare for the journey." The people tried to persuade him, saying that he had just recovered from his illness and it was not advisable to travel far, but he didn't listen. The next day, they set off. Upon arriving in Chongqing County, he saw that the scenery there was just as it had been in the past. Without inquiring about directions, he walked directly to the temple. His former disciples in the temple saw the distinguished guest and respectfully came forward to welcome him. He asked, "Where's the old monk?" The monks replied, "Our master has already passed away some time ago." He then inquired about the location of the old monk's grave, and they led him there. They arrived at a solitary grave, 3 feet high, with weeds that had not yet grown fully. The monks did not understand the meaning behind his actions. After seeing the grave, he prepared to leave and asked them to take care of the horses. Before departing, he instructed them, "Your master was a monk who strictly observed the precepts of the Buddha. You should reverently preserve the manuscripts and belongings he left behind and not damage them." The monks nodded in agreement. And so, he left. When he returned home, he became lifeless and sat motionless all day, neglecting all household affairs. After living for several more months, he secretly slipped out and went directly to his former temple. He said to the disciples, "I am your master." Everyone doubted his words and exchanged glances with laughter. So he recounted the reasons for his soul's return and spoke of the actions and deeds of the old monk during his lifetime, which all matched the facts. Only then did everyone believe him and invited him to stay in his original bedroom, serving him as they had done before. Later, the son of the nobleman sent carriages and horses multiple times, begging him to return, but he paid no attention to them. Over a year later, the nobleman's wife sent a capable servant with many gifts. He refused to accept gold, silver, and silk, and only took a piece of cloth robe. Occasionally, the nobleman's friends would come to his village and respectfully visit him. They saw him as a man of few words, simple and sincere. Although he was only in his 30s, he often spoke of events from his over 80 years of life. The second story is about a magic Taoist priest. Taoist priest is the China monk, but they are exorcist and magician too. There was a young man named Wang, the 7th child in his family, so everyone affectionately called him Wang Qi. Qi is a Chinese vocabulary meaning 7. From a young age, He had a strong interest in cultivating immortality and seeking the Taoist meaning pursuit of becoming immortality. Hearing that there were many enlightened immortals on Mount Lao, Wan Qi packed his belongings and embarked on a challenging yet magnificent journey to Mount Lao. Upon reaching the mountain, Wan Qi explored the surroundings and finally discovered a hidden Taoist temple nestled amidst the clouds and mist on a majestic and treacherous peak. The environment there was elegant and filled with a tranquil ambience. Inside the temple, there was a snow-white cushion where a dignified Taoist priest sat. With his flowing white hair and youthful countenance, it was evident that he was an extraordinary being. Wan Qi respectfully knocked on the door and entered, engaging in deep discussions with the old Taoist about profound principles. He felt greatly enlightened by their exchanges. Inspired by this, Wan Qi prostrated himself on the ground and humbly requested the old Taoist to accept him as a disciple. The Taoist priest scrutinized Wan Qi with a glance and said, "You appear delicate and tender, not someone who can endure hardship. The cultivation path may be difficult for you to persist in." Wan Qi firmly replied, "Please rest assured, teacher. I will definitely persevere." The old Taoist agreed to take him as a disciple. In the evening, the other disciples of the temple returned one by one, and there were quite a few of them. As a junior disciple, Wan Qi respectfully greeted his senior brothers and began his cultivation journey in this solemn and dignified place. The next morning, the old Taoist awakened Wan Qi with a call and handed him a heavy axe, instructing him to go down the mountain and chop firewood with his senior brothers. Wan Qi received the axe with a reverent heart and wholeheartedly devoted himself to the arduous labor. This continued for over a month, and calluses gradually formed on his hands and feet, causing unbearable pain when they cracked. Wan Qi began to feel that the old Taoist had not taught him any immortal techniques, and thoughts of giving up on his cultivation arose in his mind. Another month passed, and Wan Qi's faith wavered once again because the Taoist still hadn't taught the disciples any spells during this time. So Wan Qi decided to approach the Taoist, gathering his courage to respectfully request, "Master, I traveled hundreds of miles to Mount Lao with the hope of learning some spells. Even if I cannot achieve immortality, I would at least like to acquire some small techniques. But it has been almost 3 months now, and every day is spent only chopping firewood. I didn't work this hard even when I was at home." The Taoist smiled and said, "I already told you that you can't endure hardships. See, I was right." Wan Qi replied, "Master, considering the hard work I have put in for these many days, would you kindly teach me some tips so that I can fulfill my wish?" The Taoist asked, "Which spell do you want to learn, after all?" Wan Qi answered, "Every time I see you effortlessly pass through walls without opening the door, I wish I could learn that." The Taoist smiled, looked at Wan Qi, and nodded in agreement. After teaching Wan Qi the incantation, the Taoist asked him to face the wall and give it a try. Wan Qi stood in front of the wall, feeling a bit nervous. The Taoist encouraged him, saying, "No problem, you won't know if it works unless you try." So Wan Qi gathered his courage, recited the incantation, and slowly walked toward the wall, but he couldn't pass through. The Taoist said, "Take a few steps back, lower your head, bend your waist, and then make a strong push. Walking slowly won't work." Wan Qi took a few steps back, closed his eyes tightly, lowered his head, and made a forceful charge. As expected, there was no hindrance. When he turned around, the wall was already behind him. He was overjoyed and quickly thanked the Taoist. The Taoist cautioned him, "Be indifferent to fame and fortune, and do not use this ability to show off for evil purposes, or else it won't work." Then the Taoist gave him some travel expenses and urged him to return home early. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing and scary stories. Also, please click the like button to support our program. If you want to submit your own story, please send it to our address at midnightwhisper@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.